Hi, my name's Rob D'Astalto. I'm the Head of Data Analytics at Data Agility, and today I'm going to talk about some of the causes of, that impact the reliability of data in organisations that we've seen and we've worked with over the years. So one of the first causes we see of unreliable data within our clients and beyond is where we see multiple data systems that are being used primarily to capture similar data. So, for example, if you're looking to capture customer data, be captured in a number of systems that are across an organisation, and then, how do you know which one is that source of truth for that customer? Do you have the updated address details of who that customer is or your last interaction? So if I'm viewing them in one system, I might not have all that data. If I'm viewing it in another system, then I might be seeing the recent version. So depending on who you are tends to be what you might see. So the next cause is what we call information silo. So what that means is where data is held by, could be a person or a team within an organisation, and other people either within the team or division or any other part of that organisation either doesn't know it exists or can't get hold of it or can't get access to it. And so what that means is they're potentially either having to try and go and find that data elsewhere, which may not be representative of what they need, or they completely miss out on data. So we've seen situations where, for example, mailing lists have gone out to stakeholders or customers, and a whole batch has been missed because no one was aware that this other piece of data existed elsewhere in the organisation. We have seen over the years that a lack of consistent definitions around data or poorly defined data can have a really big impact, particularly when it comes to reporting. I think we've probably all seen over time that someone asks how many customers do we have, or how many of something did happen last week, and depending on who you ask is depending on the answer that you get back, because we all have our thoughts of what something means. So what's really important today is that as an organisation that we have some very well defined data. So what is a customer, or what is, if it's looking at revenue, then what does revenue mean? All those sorts of things, so that you can have a collective definition of something. And so when you are producing reports, or you are looking at data and looking at that information, that you're basing your decisions off that consistent view, rather than what you think may be your view of what that data should be. We've also found that there's a number of organisations out there that they know that they have some issues with the reliability of their data, but they don't actually know how to fix it. So what that comes down to is a lack of expertise. So what happens then is that they do little about it, or they perhaps get some expertise in for a short period to, I suppose, do a tactical fix on that data, but without actually fixing the key causes of what's causing that data to become unreliable in the first place. So it's important to know, when you're looking at data quality issues, as to what are those key causes, and how to remediate not just the data that is impacted, but to try and stop that happening again. And to do that, you need some real expertise in how to go through that process. First is to identify the data that is unreliable, and secondly, of how to remediate that both tactically and strategically. Another one we see is around data governance. So typically what might happen is it's thought that information technology departments are responsible for an organisation's data, which in fact they're not. They tend to be responsible for making sure that systems that run and infrastructure that they run on is kept up to date and running smoothly. But it's actually a business owner around the data that's critically important. And whilst governance, data governance anyway, can be seen to be fairly boring to a lot of people, it's incredibly important, because it's the business and the users of that data that should be taking the most care with that data, making sure that it's entered correctly, used correctly, and is able to be used for reporting and analytical purposes, and it's reliable and fit for purpose to do that. So I talked about governance and how that was really related to a business issue with regards to managing data. So one of the other things around that as well is the behaviour of people and the culture. So where we see organisations that really value the data that they have and they treat it like any other asset that they own, then we find that the reliability of the data they have is quite higher. Where data isn't seen as a strategic priority or a key asset, then what we find is that the quality of the data is much less, and that thinking and that behaviour resonates down, and so people aren't all that fussed about what's entered or the quality of it. They just deem it as being someone else's problem to resolve, and so what you end up with is poor quality data and data that is unreliable to use for reporting, analysis and your decision making. I'm Rob Di Stolto. So there's some of the things that we've found that affect the reliability of data in the number of organisations that we've worked in. But if you'd like to know a bit more about that, then head off to dataagility.com.